Tonight, we delve into a captivating glimpse of medieval existence, the hidden burdens that accompanied wealth and influence. Lower the lights, perhaps switch on a fan for that soothing background murmur, and let's embark on this journey together. If these tales resonate with you, a quick like or subscribe would mean the world. It's a small gesture with a big impact. I'm always curious about where you're listening from, so drop a comment with your location and the time there. There's something magical about our little global community bonding over these stories. Now, picture this. You've just awakened in the year 1398, inside a grand stone manor nestled in the English countryside. Morning sunlight filters through narrow windows, casting elongated beams across your chamber. You stretch beneath thick wool blankets on a feather-stuffed mattress, a luxury reserved for the elite. Most peasants sleep on flea-infested straw pallets, but you are Lord William Thornbrook, one of the wealthiest nobles in the region. The good news? Your riches dwarf the wildest dreams of the common folk who toil on your lands. The bad news? Your big toe feels like it's being stabbed by a white-hot poker, and every slight movement sends waves of agony up your leg. You've got gout, the so-called disease of kings. Your day begins as it always does, servants rushing to your bedside. Unlike peasants who rise before dawn to milk cows and tend fields, you've slept well past sunrise. Thomas, your head servant, approaches with a silver basin of rose-scented water for washing your face and hands. Behind him, two younger attendants carry your attire for the day, fine wool tunics dyed in expensive hues, lined with silk imported from distant lands. "My lord," Thomas says with a bow, "the household awaits your commands." The steward needs approval for the feast preparations. You cut him off with a groan. "Send for the physician." "My foot. It's the gout again." Thomas's face falls. He's witnessed your gout attacks before and knows what's coming. "Right away, my lord." You attempt to sit up, but the motion sends a jolt of pain so intense through your foot that you gasp. The swelling has returned. Your big toe joint now resembles an overripe plum, red, hot to the touch, and so tender that even the weight of a linen sheet feels like torture. This, you reflect bitterly, is the hidden cost of privilege. While peasants endure malnutrition and exposure, the nobility faces its own torments. The commoners might envy your lavish feasts, warm shelter, and fine garments, but they don't see the toll such excess takes on your body. The chamber door creaks open, and in shuffles Master Gilbert, your physician. Unlike village healers who rely on herbs and folk remedies, Master Gilbert trained at the prestigious medical school in Montpellier, France. His services cost more than a peasant earns in a month, but what's wealth if not to secure the finest care? "My lord," Master Gilbert intones gravely, setting down his leather satchel of instruments. "The gout has returned. I see." You grimace. "Like a bad penny. What cursed thing did I eat this time?" Master Gilbert strokes his gray beard, examining your swollen foot without touching it. The skin is stretched taut and shiny, a deep crimson betraying the inflammation beneath. "As I've explained before, my lord, it's an imbalance of the humors. The phlegm, cold and moist, has settled in your joint, where it festers and causes pain. But the root cause," he hesitates, knowing you won't like his answer. Yes, you interrupt impatiently. "My rich diet and wine." "The same lecture every time, Gilbert." The physician remains unruffled. "Indeed, my lord. Your body produces excessive uric humor from the meats, sweet wines, and delicacies gracing your table nightly. These corrupt humors crystallize in the cooler extremities, often the feet, being farthest from the heart's warmth. What Master Gilbert doesn't say, but you both know, is that your gout attacks are worsening. Last year, you suffered 3 bouts. This year, you've already endured 4, and autumn has barely arrived. Each episode lasts longer, and recovery grows slower. Some nobles, you've heard, become so crippled by recurrent attacks that they can scarcely walk, their joints permanently deformed by chalky deposits called tophi. This is the cruel irony of your station. While peasants labor from dawn to dusk, their bodies hardened by work and sustained by simple fare, you enjoy a life of leisure and indulgence, one that slowly poisons you. Master Gilbert opens his satchel, revealing glass vials and herb packets. "I've brought several remedies, my lord. First, a poultice of herbs to reduce heat and swelling." He produces a bundle of dried meadowsweet, willow bark, and other anti-inflammatory plants. These will be ground and mixed with wine vinegar into a paste to soothe your throbbing joint. For the pain, he continues, a tincture of poppy. This is his most potent medicine, distilled from the seed pods of exotic poppies. It dulls even the fiercest agony, but at a cost. It clouds the mind and, with overuse, breeds a craving that can consume a person. You've seen nobles ruined by their dependence on this costly elixir. I've also brought autumn crocus, Master Gilbert adds, producing a small pouch. Byzantine physicians found it effective for gout. It must be used carefully, too much induces vomiting, but in the right dose, it can shorten your suffering. Neither of you knows that autumn crocus contains colchicine, one of the few genuinely effective gout treatments. Byzantine doctors stumbled upon this remedy centuries ago, and its use has spread across Europe, passed down without understanding why it works. As Master Gilbert grinds herbs with a mortar and pestle, you gaze out the window at your estate. Your lands stretch for miles, fields, forests, villages teeming with peasants who labor from sunrise to sunset. You tax them, protect them with your soldiers, and settle their disputes. In return, they sustain your lavish lifestyle. Outside, workers harvest autumn crops. Men swing scythes through golden wheat. Women gather and bind the stalks. Children glean fallen grain. Their movements are fluid, their bodies resilient from years of toil. None of them, you'd wager, suffer from gout. Here, my lord, Master Gilbert says, drawing your attention back. Drink this first. He hands you a cup of dark liquid. The bitter taste of poppy floods your mouth as you force it down. Soon, warmth will spread through your limbs, muting the pain's sharp edges. Next comes the poultice. Master Gilbert applies the herb paste gently to your inflamed joint, then wraps it with clean linen. The cooling effect offers immediate, if modest, relief. The autumn crocus I've mixed with wine, he explains, offering another cup. Drink slowly. It may unsettle your stomach briefly, but that passes. You comply, grimacing at the odd flavor, then lie back against your pillows, waiting for the remedies to work. Rest now, my lord, Master Gilbert advises. No rich foods today. Barley water, plain bread, perhaps boiled chicken without skin. I'll return tonight to assess your progress. As he packs his supplies, you gesture to Thomas. Pay Master Gilbert his fee. The physician bows and departs, leaving you alone with your thoughts and your pain. Through the window, you hear the rhythmic swish of scythes, the calls of laborers, a harvest song rising from the fields. Their lives are grueling in ways you'll never know: constant hunger, vulnerability to weather and disease, relentless labor that wears them down prematurely. Yet here you lie in your stone manor, crippled by a pain born of privilege. This is the great equalizer. No matter your rank or wealth, the human body remains fragile, subject to its own unique sufferings. The poppy tincture begins to take effect, wrapping your thoughts in cotton and dulling the sharp edges of your pain. As the poppy's embrace tightens around your consciousness, the jagged edges of pain soften into a dull, distant throb. The world takes on a hazy quality, less immediate, less urgent. Through this narcotic fog, you watch dust motes dance in the sunbeams slicing through your chamber. The harvest songs from the fields below now sound muffled, as if heard through layers of wool. This artificial peace comes at a price. You've seen what happens to nobles who rely too heavily on the poppy's kiss. Their fortunes dwindling as they chase the next dose, their minds growing clouded until they can scarcely remember their own titles. Yet in this moment, with your toes still pulsing like a second heart, you don't care. Relief is relief, whatever its form. When you wake, the light has shifted. The angle of the sun through your narrow windows tells you it's mid-afternoon. The pain in your foot has retreated from excruciating to merely insistent, a marked improvement thanks to Master Gilbert's remedies. Your thoughts feel clearer now, like storm clouds parting after days of relentless rain. Thomas appears at your bedside bearing a tray. Barley water and bread, my lord, as the physician ordered. The barley water is tasteless, the bread plain, peasant fare, though of finer quality than what your laborers eat. Your usual meals are vastly different. Roasted meats swimming in rich sauces, game birds stuffed with fruits and spices, fish on fast days, all washed down with sweet wines and followed by confections made with precious sugar. Every dish proclaims your status. But this very abundance has brought you to this bettered state. My lord, Thomas ventures hesitantly. The steward still needs directions for tomorrow's feast. The merchant from London has arrived with the spices you ordered. Tell him to proceed as planned. You say, then reconsider. But have simpler dishes added to the table. Less meat, more fish. And instruct the kitchens to go easy on the wine and sauces. Thomas's eyebrows lift in surprise, but he nods. Yes, my lord. And shall I inform the guests you're indisposed? You weigh the question. Tomorrow's feast honors Baron Radcliffe, a potential ally whose support could prove crucial. Absence would be a political misstep. No, I'll attend. Have the servants prepare a cushioned chair where I can prop my foot, and fetch my walking staff. After Thomas leaves, you carefully swing your legs over the bed's edge. The movement sends fresh spikes of pain through your toe, but it's manageable now. Standing gingerly, you keep weight off the afflicted foot and hobble to the window. Your manor's inner courtyard bustles with preparations for tomorrow's event. Servants unload ale barrels from a cart. Kitchen smoke curls into the sky as cooks begin slow roasting meats. Dozens labor to maintain your lifestyle, an entire ecosystem of service enabling your comfort and status. This, perhaps, is another burden of wealth, the relentless performance of privilege. Your table must groan under the weight of dishes, your clothes shimmer with imported fabrics, your home impress at every turn. Anything less risks whispers of decline. So you consume, you display, you conform, and your body pays the price. You think of King Henry IV, so crippled by gout he sometimes can't mount his horse, yet still feasting as royalty demands. Trapped, like you, in this gilded cycle. The disease of kings, indeed, a mark of status that becomes its own prison. Master Gilbert returns at dusk as promised. He examines your foot, nodding at the reduced swelling. The remedies have helped. The crisis passes. Then, delicately, to prevent future attacks. Less rich food, less wine, you finish for him. More walking, more water. Precisely. Avoid organ meats especially. Liver, kidneys, sweetbreads. Limit game birds. Go easy on sweet wines. This advice, distilled from centuries of observation, contains practical wisdom despite its flawed medical theory. Medieval physicians might not understand uric acid crystals, but they've noted which foods reliably trigger gout. I'll try. You promise, though both of you know the challenge. Your entire social world revolves around feasting. To abstain is to withdraw from the very rituals that cement alliances and demonstrate power. After Master Gilbert departs, your wife, Lady Eleanor, visits. Unlike you, she rose at dawn to manage the household, overseeing servants, reviewing accounts, ensuring your estate functions smoothly while you handle politics. William, she says, settling carefully on the bed's edge. How are you feeling? Better, you admit. Gilbert's remedies helped. She sighs, taking your hand. This is your second attack this month. You must take better care. Her practical tone carries no reproach, just concern. Noble-born herself, Eleanor understands the demands of your rank, but possesses a clear-eyed view of their costs. I've instructed the kitchens, she continues, to prepare you a separate plate tomorrow, simpler foods. You can still preside at the high table without aggravating your condition. You smile gratefully. This is why you married her, not just for her dowry and connections, but for her sharp mind and quiet competence. Thank you, you say? Then, hesitantly, I've been thinking, perhaps we should change how we eat daily, not just during attacks. Her eyebrows arch, like the monks. Plain fare in prayer. You laugh, then wince as it jostles your foot. Not that extreme, but more fish, vegetables, fewer rich sauces, and sweet wines. Eleanor considers this. It would save coin for other uses, and might start a new fashion. She smiles slyly. You know how the court mimics whatever you do. She's right. As a leading noble, your choices influence others. If you dine more simply, it may give peers permission to do the same. A relief for those struggling to maintain ruinous displays of wealth. We'll try it, you decide, starting after tomorrow's feast. As night falls, servants bring beeswax candles, another luxury commoners can't afford. Their clean, honeyed glow fills the chamber, a stark contrast to the tallow dips or rushlights peasants use. Lying in bed, You ponder the contrast between your life and your laborers. They rise with the sun, work until exhaustion, eat simple foods, and sleep on straw. You wake when you choose, conduct politics rather than manual labor, consume rich foods your body can't process, and sleep on finest linen. They face starvation and lean years. You face gout and political intrigue. Different sufferings for different stations, but suffering nonetheless. Perhaps this is the lesson your pain offers, that no life, however privileged, escapes hardship. That excess, even when expected and admired, extracts its price. As sleep claims you, your foot still throbbing, but bearably so, you resolve to find balance, to maintain your position without destroying your health. It won't be easy in a world where consumption defines status. But if anyone can chart a new course, it's someone with the power to choose. Tomorrow brings the feast with all its temptations and obligations. But the day after? Perhaps the beginning of a wiser path, one where privilege doesn't equal self-destruction. The worst part of being rich in medieval times isn't the gout itself. It's the golden cage of expectations that keeps you consuming what harms you. But even gilded cages have doors, if one dares to find them. Morning arrives with pale sunlight struggling through mist clinging to your estate. You wake to find your foot improved, still tender, but the fiery pain has dulled to a manageable ache. Master Gilbert's remedies, particularly the mysterious autumn crocus, have worked their magic. Today demands your presence at the feast despite your condition. Reputation in medieval society is everything, more valuable than gold, more enduring than stone. A single hint of weakness could send ripples through the nobility, undermining alliances, affecting your children's marriage prospects, even reaching the king's ears. Thomas and another servant help you dress in your finest. A Flemish blue wool tunic with silver thread embroidery, a belt with ornate buckles, fitted hose, and specially modified leather shoes. The left shoe has been slit and restitched to accommodate your swollen toe, creating a protective pocket of space. My walking staff, you remind Thomas. The polished oak rod topped with silver serves dual purposes, a symbol of authority and today, a necessary support. Descending the manor's stone stairs becomes a careful negotiation between dignity and pain. The great hall below buzzes with activity. Servants scattering fresh rushes mixed with lavender, setting up trestle tables, positioning the raised dais for the high table. Your steward Henry approaches, bowing. The Baron's party was sighted on the road, he reports. They'll arrive within the hour. Good. And the special arrangements we discussed? Your chair is cushioned as requested, my lord, with a footstool concealed beneath the tablecloth. Lady Eleanor has instructed the kitchens about your meal. This delicate balance, maintaining appearances while accommodating your condition, defines your day. Outside, horns sound the Baron's arrival. You straighten, grip your staff, and move to the courtyard where your household assembles. Baron Radcliffe enters on horseback, his face ruddy from travel and likely last night's wine. A burly man in his 40s, he dismounts with a grunt that suggests he too suffers from noble ailments. Lord Thornbrook, he booms, arms outstretched. Good to see you. You step forward carefully, minimizing weight on your bad foot. The formal greetings unfold with precise etiquette. Each family member, servant, and guard acknowledged according to rank. Medieval society runs on these unspoken rules. Who sits where? Who speaks when? To misstep invites chaos. As the Baron's party refreshes themselves, you return to the great hall, now transformed for feasting. Linen-draped tables gleam with silver cups for nobles, wooden or horn vessels for others. The scent of crushed meadowsweet rises from fresh rushes underfoot. You settle into your modified chair at the high table, the hidden footstool a small mercy. Eleanor joins you, resplendent in emerald green with gold embroidery. You're in pain, she murmurs, too low for others to hear. Manageable, you lie? In truth, the throbbing has intensified to a steady burn. From her belt pouch, she produces a vial of poppy tincture, just enough to take the edge off without clouding your mind. You take a discreet sip, the bitterness followed by warmth that signals coming relief. The feast begins with hand-washing rituals. Servants circulate with rosewater basins and linen towels. Both practical, most food is finger-eaten and symbolic. The first courses arrive. For most guests, meat pastries and roasted fowl. For you, boiled chicken and herb-seasoned fish as arranged. Baron Radcliffe notices immediately. Not joining the full feast, Lord Thornbrook. He tears into a greasy pastry with gusto. A physician's orders. Temporary measures. Ah, the cursed gout. He raises his wine cup in salute. The price we pay for privilege. His laugh booms across the hall. Peasants don't suffer it. Too busy breaking their backs. There's truth in his jest. Gout rarely afflicts laborers. Their diet of grains and vegetables leaves little uric acid to crystallize. Their constant movement flushes their systems. Only when rich foods meet sedentary living does gout flourish. Between courses, minstrels perform ballads of chivalry. This entertainment serves multiple purposes, allowing digestion, showcasing your household's refinement, and providing cover for political talk. I hear the king imposed new wool taxes, you say, steering conversation toward mutual interests. The baron scowls. At the worst time, the Flemish merchants already complain about last year's quality. Add taxes and they'll buy Spanish. This sparks lively discussion about trade policies, the real business of noble gatherings. As sweets appear, honeyed fruits, spiced cakes, your foot protests louder. Eleanor notices and signals the steward. Soon, minstrels launch a raucous tale that lets you slip away unnoticed. In the courtyard garden, cold air soothes your heated skin. You should return, you tell Eleanor. Our absence will be noted. In a moment, she says, sitting beside you on a stone bench. Tell me truthfully, how bad is it? You drop the noble mask. Worsening. The standing, the heat. Shall I summon Master Gilbert? You consider the implications. Calling a physician mid-feast would draw attention, possibly insult the baron. Medieval etiquette demands hosts conceal discomfort that might trouble guests. No, you decide. I'll endure until it ends. Eleanor understands both your pain and the social straitjacket forcing you to bear it silently. Another burden of privilege. When you return to the hall, few noticed your absence. The baron is deep in cups and conversation, likely ensuring his own future gout attack. The feast continues. More food, more wine, more performances, each moment a test of endurance. Finally, the baron rises unsteadily. Magnificent feast. Your hospitality matches your reputation. This signals the formal end. You exchange parting pleasantries, then limp painfully to your chamber where Thomas awaits. Removing your shoe reveals the toe. Angrier than this morning, skin stretched shiny tight. Shall I send for Master Gilbert? Thomas asks. Yes, you admit, too exhausted for pretense. As you wait, propped on cushions, you tally the feast's costs. Political alliances strengthened, reputations burnished, and your body, once more, sacrificed to the performance of power. Master Gilbert arrives with his leather satchel, his expression turning grave when he sees your inflamed foot. The feast, I presume? You nod wearily. I followed your advice, simpler foods, watered wine, but the standing, the heat. He sighs, unpacking fresh herbs. The body needs time to heal, my lord. Each attack makes the next more likely. His mortar and pestle release the pungent scent of meadowsweet and willow bark as he prepares a stronger poultice. Complete healing requires more than waiting for pain to pass. It demands lasting change. This is your true challenge, not just recovering from this attack, but breaking the cycle that causes them. Can you be a medieval lord without the endless feasting and drinking that define your status? As the physician applies the cooling poultice, you gaze at the flickering candlelight and consider possibilities. More walks when you're well. Water between wine cups. Fish instead of game birds. Small rebellions against expectation that might, over time, reclaim your health. Rest now, Master Gilbert advises, packing his supplies. I've left stronger poppy tincture for tonight. Tomorrow we'll assess. After he leaves, you take the medicine gratefully. As its warmth spreads through your limbs, dulling the pain's sharp edges, you reflect on the day's strange victory. Despite your condition, you fulfilled every duty. The baron is pleased, alliances strengthened, your reputation intact. Perhaps this is nobility's true skill, navigating the invisible cost of power, finding ways to meet society's demands while protecting yourself from its excesses. It's a different survival art than peasants practice, but no less vital. The poppy pulls you towards sleep, thoughts growing hazy. Your final conscious realization, tomorrow, when the Baron departs, you'll begin those small changes, a quieter revolution against the traditions poisoning you. Outside your manor, the estate settles into night. Servants clean the great hall, guards patrol the walls, peasants sleep the exhausted sleep of physical labor in the village beyond. Different lives, different sufferings, all bound together in the medieval world's intricate hierarchy. For now, your suffering is the burning pain of gout, the ironic curse of having too much in a world where most have too little. Morning comes with roosters crowing in the distance. The poppy has worn off, and you wake to find your foot still swollen, but less fiery. Through the narrow window, you see a crisp autumn day, the kind where, if healthy, you'd join a hunt. Thomas enters with a steaming cup. Master Gilbert's morning tonic, my lord. You drink the bitter herbal brew, then ask about the Baron. Already breaking fast in the hall, my lord. He plans to depart by midday. Relief washes over you. While politically necessary, hosting always drains energy you can't spare during gout attacks. Once he leaves, you can focus on recovery without performances. Help me dress simply. I'll breakfast here. Thomas selects undyed wool, loose hose that won't constrict your foot, the modified shoe. Even with these accommodations, dressing is a careful dance with pain. Seated by the window with bread and watered ale, you hear the Baron's departure below, horses stamping, servants loading baggage, the Baron's booming voice. Normally you'd bid farewell personally, but gout provides a socially acceptable excuse. Lady Eleanor handles the formalities with grace. She returns as you finish eating, her cheeks flushed from the morning's activity. The Baron sends regards, and says his Jewish physician recommends cherries for gout. This piques your interest. Medieval medicine blends Galenic theory, monastic herbalism, and knowledge from Islamic and Jewish doctors often more advanced than Christian Europe's. Cherries. You ponder. Master Gilbert never mentioned those. Difficult to get out of season, Eleanor notes, but we could preserve some next summer. You file this away to discuss with Master Gilbert later. Though trained in rigid Galenic traditions, he's pragmatic enough to consider effective remedies regardless of origin. The conversation turns to estate matters, tenant disputes needing judgment, winter preparations. This administrative work forms the unglamorous foundation of lordship. Unlike kings who delegate, lesser nobles like yourself must stay hands-on. By midday, your foot has improved enough to venture downstairs. Leaning on your staff, you proceed to your office, a small chamber off the great hall where you hold manor court. Your steward Henry presents the harvest report using notched tally sticks. Better than last year, though not as abundant as hope. This news brings relief. The harvest determines both your income and your tenants' survival through winter. A poor yield means hunger for them and financial strain for you. And the wool clip? You ask. Prices dip slightly with the new tax, but still profitable. More business follows. Cottage repairs before winter, timber cutting, Christmas preparations. Throughout, your foot throbs persistently, a reminder of vulnerability beneath your authority. Master Gilbert arrives for his daily examination. He unwraps the poultice, probing gently. Improving, though slower than I'd like. You mention the Baron's cherry remedy. The physician's posture stiffens slightly, medical pride bristling at outside suggestions, but he concedes. Cherries are cooling. When in season, they may help. His diplomatic response maintains authority while acknowledging potential merit. You broach your deeper thoughts. I've been considering changes beyond diet. Daily walks. More direct estate management. A simpler way of living. Master Gilbert's eyes brighten with interest. Wise adjustments, my lord. As Hippocrates taught, excess in food, drink, or idleness creates humoral imbalance. The difficulty, you admit, is maintaining moderation when my position demands otherwise. True, he agrees, applying fresh herbs. But feasts might become occasions rather than habits. And I'd be remiss not to mention the passions, anger, anxiety, which inflame the blood as surely as rich food. This reflects medieval medicine's holistic view. Emotional states directly affect physical health through the humors. Your life as lord is filled with stressors, political maneuvering, financial pressures, succession concerns. Tranquility seems impossible, you muse. Yet essential, he counters. The ancients prescribed contemplation for health of mind and body. After he leaves, you dictate letters, business correspondence, a message to your eldest son training as a squire in another noble house. Medieval noble families often live apart, children sent away for education and alliances. At supper, another simple meal of fish and vegetables, Eleanor notes your improved mood. You seem more at peace, not just in body, but spirit. She's right. The gout attack, painful as it was, has brought unexpected clarity about power's nature, that true nobility might lie in wise stewardship rather than conspicuous consumption. Later, in the solar with your younger children, you watch them laugh at a minstrel's tale. These moments of family warmth are rare. Medieval noble children typically leave home young for training or marriage alliances. As candles gutter and the household sleeps, you lie awake contemplating. Tomorrow brings memorial court, judging tenant disputes, a fundamental lordly duty. But beyond that, perhaps the first steps toward a different way of living within your privileged but punishing world. The disease of kings has marked you, as it marks many nobles. But in its painful way, it's also teaching you about balance, about humanity's shared vulnerabilities across class lines, about the possibility of wielding power without being destroyed by it. 3 months have passed since your last gout attack, and winter's icy grip has tightened around your estate. Snow blankets the fields like a downy counterpane, while delicate frost feathers creep across your chamber windows each dawn. The great hall's central hearth burns ceaselessly now, its glow fighting back the perpetual chill that seeps into stone walls and marrow alike. Standing at your window, you watch servants below shovel paths through the snowdrifts. Your breath fogs the cold glass as you observe their labored movements, each exhale a visible reminder of life's fragility in this frozen season. The toe that once burned with gout's fire now feels blessedly ordinary, its silence more precious than any troubadour's song. These months have been an experiment in moderation. You've kept Master Gilbert's dietary counsel, eschewing organ meats and game, favoring fish and vegetables, watering your wine like some prudent merchant rather than a lord. The household has adapted, though not without initial resistance from cooks who viewed simplicity as an insult to their craft. Eleanor solved this with characteristic grace, challenging them to showcase ingredients' natural qualities rather than drowning them in sauces. My lord, Thomas interrupts, entering with a carved wooden box. Master Gilbert's new remedy. You turn from the window, intrigued. During his last visit, the physician described an Italian colleague's novel gout treatment, testament to medieval medicine's surprising international networks. Despite limited scientific understanding, doctors correspond across Europe, sharing translated Greek and Arabic texts, adapting practices based on far-flung observations. Opening the box reveals cloth pouches filled with herb blends. Steep one each morning before breaking fast, Thomas explains. You untie a pouch, finding familiar willow bark and meadowsweet alongside stranger ingredients, including what appears to be crushed gemstones. This inclusion reflects medieval medical theory. Sapphires believed to cool inflammation, rubies to warm the blood. Whether effective or not, their presence signals the physician's commitment to providing treatments worthy of your station. I'll begin tomorrow, you decide, already anticipating the bitter brew. Thank Master Gilbert for his diligence. Alone again, you resume your vigil at the window. Beyond the dietary changes, these months have brought subtler transformations in how you exercise lordship. Where once you relied solely on stewards' reports, now you regularly walk your lands, inspecting fields, barns, and workshops personally when weather permits, speaking directly with tenants about their struggles. This hands-on approach is unusual among nobility. Most lords consider such engagement beneath them, delegating all to officials. But you've discovered unexpected benefits, sharper understanding of your estate's true conditions, stronger tenant loyalty, and, not least, the physical activity Master Gilbert swears prevents gout. Winter has temporarily halted these excursions, but the long nights have granted other opportunities. Your small library, mostly religious texts and estate records, but also cherished classical works by Cicero and Boethius, has seen more use. Their meditations on moderation and power resonate with your evolving perspective. Eleanor noticed the shift last evening as you read by candlelight in the solar. You seem more at peace, she'd observed, needlework flashing in her hands. Not just in body, but spirit. Her perception rings true. Gout's painful lessons have fostered a wisdom no amount of privilege could buy, that true authority stems from balance, not excess, from stewardship, not display. A knock shatters your reverie. The steward enters, his face grave. Riders from Oakley Village, my lord. A fire last night, 3 cottages lost. Your stomach clenches. Winter fires are a constant terror in medieval villages, flames racing through thatched roofs, fueled by desperate attempts to ward off cold. And winter is the cruelest time to lose shelter, with rebuilding near impossible until spring. Casualties, you ask? Already reaching for your heavy cloak. 1 elder perished in his sleep from smoke. 2 burned but will recover. You issue rapid orders. Food supplies from manor stores, building materials assessed, your intention to ride out despite treacherous roads. The steward blanches. Such personal attention to peasant misfortune is unheard of, but you insist. Eleanor finds you buckling your fur-lined boots. Your feet, she warns. Master Gilbert said cold could trigger gout as surely as rich food. Her concern warms you more than any cloak. In noble marriages often forged for land and alliances, such tenderness is rare fortune. The journey to Oakley is arduous, snow-choked roads, icy winds stealing breath. Your horse picks its way carefully past frozen ruts where summer wagons passed. The winter landscape deceives with its stillness. Beneath that pristine white, a brutal struggle for survival unfolds. Peasants ration dwindling grain stores, huddle in smoke-filled cottages, fight the cold with patched wool and stubbornness. Their winter bears little resemblance to yours by the manor's roaring fires. Oakley appears through the snowfall, 30-odd cottages huddled around a stone church. Acrid smoke still lingers over the eastern edge where the fire struck. Villagers gape as you dismount. Lords rarely visit disaster sites personally. The bailiff, a grizzled peasant appointed to oversee local affairs, bows deeply. We never expected you yourself, my lord. I came to see the damage, you reply, breath steaming. 3 cottages stand as blackened skeletons, their thatch gone, timbers half collapsed. The displaced families, 11 souls in all, cluster nearby, their faces numb with shock. An elderly woman steps forward. My father perished in the flames, she says matter-of-factly. 82, and blind these 5 years. The smoke took him gently. This pragmatic acceptance of mortality, so different from noble deathbed dramas with physicians and priests, humbles you. You promise rebuilding supplies from manor stores before spring, going beyond customary obligations. As you turn to leave, the woman presses a small pouch into your hand. For your joint pains, my lord. Help my father's stiff hands. Inside, crushed nettles, willow bark, meadowsweet, a peasant's version of Master Gilbert's remedies. You accept this humble gift with genuine gratitude, recognizing its significance. The return journey passes in quiet reflection. That night, as Eleanor rubs warmth back into your chilled hands, you realize your feet remain pain-free despite the day's trials. Whether from dietary changes, increased activity, or the mysterious autumn crocus, the improvement is undeniable. More profound is the shift in perspective. Gout's painful reminder of shared human vulnerability has reshaped your approach to power. Where once you saw peasants as mere rent payers, now you recognize mutual dependence. The disease of kings has taught you to be, perhaps, a better king of your small domain. Outside, winter's darkness presses against the manor walls. But within, a different kind of light grows, one that might, in time, illuminate a wiser path through the medieval world's inequalities. The old woman's remedy pouch rests on your writing table, its rough fabric a stark contrast to the polished oak surface. Dawn's pale light filters through ice-crusted windows as you examine its contents again. Nettles gathered at spring equinox, willow bark stripped under a waning moon, meadowsweet picked when the dew still clung to its blossoms. These peasant herbs mirror Master Gilbert's sophisticated preparations, yet lack the gemstone dust and theoretical framework that make his medicines worthy of nobility. You tuck the pouch into your belt just as Thomas arrives with Master Gilbert's morning tonic. The steam carries scents of valerian and chamomile, herbs meant to soothe both body and mind. The steward asks if you'll hold memorial court today, my lord. He says while you drink the bitter brew. 3 disputes await judgment, including a boundary quarrel that turned violent. Setting down the empty cup, you flex your toes experimentally. No pain, not even the ghost of an ache. Tell him to prepare the hall. I'll hear the cases after breaking fast. Downstairs, the manor stirs with winter routines. Servants bank the great hall's central fire, their breath visible in the frigid air until the flames catch properly. Scullery maids haul steaming kettles from the kitchens, while stable boys stamp their feet at the courtyard door, waiting to begin morning chores. Eleanor joins you at the high table, her winter gown of deep blue wool embroidered with silver threads that catch the firelight. She notes the peasant's herb pouch at your belt with raised eyebrows, but says nothing. Instead, she discusses the day's plans, a rare quiet morning before the memorial court's demands. You'll want the fur-lined cloak for court, she advises between sips of spiced wine. The hall takes hours to warm properly. The meal is simple by noble standards: rye bread, preserved apples, and a pottage of dried peas, but nourishing. Since adopting your new regimen, you've come to appreciate foods that sustain without overburdening your body. Even watered wine sits better in your stomach these days. As servants clear the table, Henry the steward approaches with his tally sticks and wax tablets. The first case concerns a miller accused of taking excess grain tolls, he reports. Then two farmers disputing an acre's boundary. Axes were drawn, but no serious injuries. Lastly, a widow pleading to keep her cottage despite her son's incompetence. You nod, mentally preparing for the delicate balancing act memorial court requires. Medieval justice blends strict custom with situational mercy. A lord must be both unwavering and compassionate. The great hall has been arranged for court when you arrive. Your carved chair sits on the dais, flanked by the steward and bailiff. A scribe waits at a small table to record judgments on parchment that will become the manor's legal memory. Below the dais, villagers cluster in nervous groups, their winter cloaks smelling of wood smoke and damp wool. The miller's case proves straightforward. After hearing testimony from aggrieved peasants, you order restitution of the stolen grain and a fine paid in extra milling days for the manor. The farmer's quarrel requires more nuance. Their disputed acre lies on rich bottomland where an extra yard's width means significant harvest difference. You walk the boundary yourself despite the cold, examining the frost-heaved markers. In the end, you split the difference but impose a fine on the man who drew his axe first. 3 days' labor repairing the manor's sheepfold. The widow's plight gives you pause. White-haired and trembling, she clutches the sleeve of her slack-jawed son, a man grown but simple-minded since childhood fever. Custom dictates her cottage should pass to another tenant now that her husband is dead, as her son cannot perform required labor. My lord, she pleads, tears freezing on her wrinkled cheeks. Where would we go in winter? You study them, the widow's gnarled hands that have worked your lands for 50 years, her son's confused smile. The bailiff shifts impatiently. Strong tenants mean better harvests. But something in you rebels at this cold arithmetic. Your cottage remains, you decree at last. Your son will assist the swineherd, light work suited to his capacity. In return, you'll teach my daughter's maidservant to spin finer thread. The widow's shocked gratitude warms you more than any fire. As court adjourns, you notice villagers whispering, not discontent, but something resembling approval. Small changes, you reflect. Small mercies. Master Gilbert arrives as you thaw by the solar's fireplace. He examines your feet with professional satisfaction. No swelling, no tenderness. The regimen clearly benefits you. And the peasant's remedy? You show him the pouch. He sniffs its contents critically. Basic but sound. Willow bark eases pain. Metasweet reduces swelling. His lips quirk, though I'd add crushed sapphire for humoral balance. This small joke signals his growing acceptance of cross-class medical wisdom. You discuss the coming spring, plans to plant a medicinal herb garden, the cherry trees Eleanor has ordered from London. Later, walking the snowy courtyard to check the stables, you spot the widow's son happily brushing a donkey under the swineherd's watch. He waves enthusiastically, and on impulse, you wave back. In that moment, you realize Gout's true lesson. Power need not distance you from those you rule. The disease of kings has made you, in strange ways, more human. As evening falls, you sit with Eleanor reviewing accounts. The numbers tell their own story. Your simpler lifestyle has saved enough coin to repair 3 burned cottages and still leave surplus. Outside, the winter night is bitterly cold. But within your manor, within yourself, something new is taking root, a lordship that nurtures rather than consumes. The first crocuses push through the frozen earth as winter's grip finally loosens. You stand in the manor's newly planted herb garden, watching apothecary monks from the nearby abbey carefully transplant seedlings. Their brown robes brush against the freshly turned soil as they work, their practiced hands positioning each plant according to Master Gilbert's elaborate diagram. Willow near the drainage ditch, meadowsweet in the damp corner, autumn crocus in precise rows for easy harvesting. These Byzantine varieties are most potent when harvested at moonrise, explains Brother Alcuin, his tonsured head gleaming with sweat despite the chill. He holds up a bulb that will one day produce the mysterious purple flowers that eased your worst gout attack. We'll dry the petals using methods preserved in Arabic texts. This collaboration between monastic knowledge and your physician's training represents medieval medicine at its best, a patchwork of traditions stitched together by practical results rather than theoretical purity. Eleanor joins you, her spring gown of vibrant green that mirrors the new shoots around you. She carries a basket of cherry saplings just arrived from London at considerable expense. The merchant swears these are the same variety Baron Radcliffe's Jewish physician recommended, she says, brushing a wisp of hair from her forehead. You run a thumb along the young tree's smooth bark. In a few years, these may provide both preventive medicine and a subtle status symbol, exotic enough to impress visitors, yet aligned with your new philosophy of measured consumption. The garden is Eleanor's idea, born from that difficult winter. Rather than spending coin on another set of jewel-encrusted goblets, you've invested in this living treasury of remedies, some for your personal use, most available to any tenant who petitions the steward. It's a small revolution disguised as horticulture. Your steward approaches, looking uncharacteristically flustered. My lord, riders approach bearing the king's banner. The news sends servants scurrying. Royal visits are rare and burdensome. The king's retinue can number in the hundreds, consuming a manor's entire winter stores in days. But when you reach the gatehouse, you see only 5 horsemen, a royal clerk, 3 guards, and a figure whose ornate saddle marks him as nobility. Lord Thornbrook calls Sir Geoffrey of Havering, the king's tax assessor. He dismounts stiffly, his fur-lined cloak swinging to reveal the telltale bulk of bandages around one knee. Gout, unmistakably. We bring glad tidings. Your proposed wool tax reforms have reached the king's ear. This is unexpected. Last autumn, you'd sent a carefully worded letter suggesting staggered taxes based on wool quality, a system that would ease pressure on smaller producers like your tenants. Never did you imagine it would travel beyond the exchequer's clerks. Sir Geoffrey leans heavily on his walking stick as you escort him to the hall. His Majesty suffers terribly from the same affliction as we do, he confides, gesturing to his wrapped knee. When he heard you'd found relief through alternative measures, he grew curious. Over spiced wine, heavily watered in your new fashion, Sir Geoffrey explains the king's interest. The court physician's standard bleeding and purging have only worsened his Majesty's condition. Now he seeks other options, including those from foreign traditions. Master Gilbert is summoned. To his credit, he hides any professional jealousy as Sir Geoffrey describes the king's symptoms in detail. Autumn crocus, certainly, your physician advises, but also daily walks in the palace gardens, if possible, and no more than 2 cups of wine, well diluted. You watch Sir Geoffrey's scribe record every word. How strange that your painful journey might influence royal treatment. That gout, the disease of kings, could become the bridge between ruler and subject. As evening falls, you walk Sir Geoffrey to the guest chamber, noticing how his breathing eases when he sees the firm mattress and light blankets you've ordered. No feather-stuffed luxury that might aggravate his joints. Your reputation for innovation undersells you, Lord Thornbrook, he remarks, testing the bed's support. They whisper you've gone soft with peasant coddling, but I see cleverness. Healthy tenants mean better harvests. Moderate living means fewer gout attacks. It's simply good economics. You let the comment pass unchallenged. Let the court think you motivated by cold calculation rather than genuine reform. Results matter more than perceptions. That night, Eleanor laughs when you recount the conversation. Imagine the king drinking watered wine because some country lord suggested it. Her mirth fades as she adds, "They'll mock you at court, you know. They herb count instead of Thornbrook." You catch her hand, kissing the work-roughened fingers that manage your estate so deftly. Let them. I'd rather walk pain-free through my gardens than limp through banquets. Through the open window comes the scent of turned earth and young plants. The herb garden thrives. The cherry trees take root. And you, once crippled by privilege, have never felt more free. The royal party departs at dawn, their saddlebags stuffed with Master Gilbert's carefully written instructions and samples of dried autumn crocus. You watch from the gatehouse as their horses kick up clods of freshly thawed earth, Sir Geoffrey's bandaged leg carefully cushioned with the special stirrup you had the blacksmith devise. Will they really follow your advice? Eleanor asks, her breath making little clouds in the crisp morning air. You shrug, thinking of the king's legendary appetite for roasted swans and hippocras. Perhaps in moderation, and even a little change may bring him relief. The encounter has left you thoughtful. If gout can make kings listen to minor lords, what other cracks might it open in the rigid armor of medieval hierarchy? Spring work sweeps away such musings. The manor becomes a hive of activity, plows breaking winter-fallowed fields, sheep shearing in the pastures, tenants arriving to pay rents and eggs and early greens now that coin grows scarce before harvest. Unlike previous years when you delegated these tasks to stewards, now you walk among the workers, your walking staff more affectation than necessity these days. At the sheep pens, you find young Martin, the simpleton from Memorial Court, cheerfully piling fleeces under the swineherd's supervision. His mother beams when you pause to inspect his work. He remembers every you by name. "My lord," she says proudly. The boy demonstrates, petting a grizzled old ewe he calls Mistress Cloud. This small success warms you more than any flattery from courtiers ever did. Master Gilbert joins your rounds, his satchel bulging with fresh herbs. He's adopted your hands-on approach, visiting village ailments personally rather than waiting for them to be brought to the manor. At the cooper's cottage, he examines a child's broken finger, splinting it with willow twigs while the mother watches anxiously. "Chew this for pain," he instructs, handing the boy a piece of willow bark. The same remedy that eases your gout, offered unthinkingly to a peasant child. How far your physician has come from his university disdain for folk medicine. The real test comes at Beltane, when neighboring lords gather for the traditional Mang feast. In years past, you'd have hosted a week-long debauch, roasted peacocks presented with their tail feathers, fountains flowing with wine, musicians playing until dawn. This year, Eleanor has devised a subtler display of status. The great hall is decked with boughs of flowering hawthorn instead of imported tapestries. The tables grown not with excess, but with precision perfect rounds of golden cheese, loaves shaped like medieval labyrinths, fish arranged on beds of edible flowers. Even the wine, though fine, is served in smaller cups with crystal carafes of spring water alongside. Lord Devereux, a bear of a man with a taste for bear-sized portions, eyes the spread suspiciously. Did your cook die, Thornbrook? Or just his imagination? You spear a delicate mushroom tart before responding. Turns out my physician was right. I've not a gout since adopting this dull diet. You flex your formerly afflicted foot meaningfully. Devereux's own wince tells the story. His left hand is swollen at the knuckles, the fingers starting to twist in the telltale way of chronic gout. By evening's end, he's quietly cornered Master Gilbert, asking pointed questions about cherry remedies. Later, as minstrels play, young Martin appears with a May basket for Eleanor, wild strawberries threaded onto grass stems like rubies on a chain. The boy bows exactly as he's been taught, his face alight with pride. Lord Devereux guffaws at the peasant's presence, but stops when you rise to accept the gift formally. "These are sweeter than any confection from London," you declare, popping one in your mouth. The berries burst with the essence of spring, their wild tang a world away from sugared subtleties. An odd hush falls. Then Lady Devereux, whose own fingers bear the lumpy toffee of gout, reaches for a berry. "They say wild strawberries ease joint pain," she murmurs. By feast's end, half your guests have requested Master Gilbert's counsel. The physician shoots you a bemused look as he dispenses advice to men who once mocked his methods. After the last guest departs, Eleanor walks with you through the moonlit herb garden. The autumn crocuses have begun poking through the soil, their purple heads curled tight against the night air. "You've started something," she observes, plucking a sprig of lemon balm to crush between her fingers. You think of Sir Geoffrey writing to the king, of Martin naming his sheep, of Lady Devereux's tentative nibble of wild fruit. Or perhaps remembered something. You reply, that a lord's true duty is to lead by example, even in matters of health. High above, and all calls as it hunts. The manor sleeps, and in the quiet, you feel the rightness of this new path, its stones laid one painful lesson at a time. Summer arrives in a riot of color and scent. Your herb garden has become the manor's pride, neat rows of medicinal plants now shoulder to shoulder with the cherries Eleanor nurtured from saplings. The trees already stand waist high, their young leaves trembling in the breeze like hopeful hands reaching for the sun. You walk the garden paths each morning, noting which plants need tending. This ritual has become as vital to your day as prayers or estate matters. The physical movement keeps your joints supple. The sense of growing things clear your mind better than any physician's tonic. Today, Master Gilbert joins you, his satchel overflowing with freshly harvested meadowsweet. "The king's own physician wrote to me," he confides, carefully pruning a valerian plant. "His Majesty's gout attacks have lessened since adopting our regimen." There's wonder in his voice, the humble country physician now corresponding with royal doctors. You pluck a ripe cherry from the nearest tree, its skin taut with juice. The first harvest is small but precious. Will it last, do you think? Or will old habits reclaim him when the pain fades? Master Gilbert sighs, wiping his hands on his apron. The body remembers comfort more clearly than pain. That's why we must. A commotion at the garden gate interrupts him. The village bailiff hurries toward you, face flushed. "My lord, come quickly. Old Martin's taken a fall at the mill race." Your stomach lurches. Not the simpleton boy, his grandfather, the blind old man who survived last winter's fire. You rush after the bailiff, Master Gilbert close behind with his satchel. The mill pond crowd parts as you approach. Old Martin lies on the grass, his leg bent at an unnatural angle. Young Martin kneels beside him, stroking the old man's hair with surprising tenderness. Was telling the boy about the great flood of '82, Martin grits out, sweat beading on his forehead. Backed right off the damn ledge. Master Gilbert examines the broken leg with practiced hands. Clean fracture. It'll mend if splinted properly. He begins issuing orders for wood and bandages. You crouch beside them. The manor's closest. Have him carried there. A murmur runs through the villagers. Peasants are only brought to the manor for punishment, never care. But you're already fashioning a stretcher from cloaks and staves. In your own bedchamber, the one where you suffered so many gout attacks, old Martin drifts into poppy-induced sleep, his leg neatly splinted. Young Martin refuses to leave his side, so you let him stay, perched on a stool like a loyal hound. Eleanor finds you watching them from the doorway. The steward says 3 more village children have asked to learn spinning from Widow Martin, she whispers. Word spreads fast. Indeed, by week's end, an unspoken change ripples through the manor. Tenants meet your eyes when speaking. Women bring their sickly babes to show Master Gilbert during his rounds. The miller's daughter even presents you with a carefully embroidered pouch for your herb collection, the first gift you've ever received from a peasant that wasn't coerced. At midsummer, something extraordinary happens. The villagers invite you, not as lord, but as guest, to their bonfire celebrations. You sit on a rough-hewn bench drinking their honeydale, listening to songs far earthier than any minstrel's ballad. When young Martin presses a garland of oak leaves into your hands, you wear it without hesitation, the greenery cool against your brow. Later, walking back to the manor with Eleanor, fireflies dancing around you like sparks from the bonfire, you realize something astonishing. Your foot hasn't ached in months. Not since adopting the peasant's rhythm of work and seasons. The disease of kings may have led you here, but it's the common touch that's healed you. The autumn crocus blooms unexpectedly early this year. You notice at one misty dawn, violet petals unfurling like tiny banners against the fading dark. Kneeling in the dew-damp grass, you run a finger along the flower's golden stamens, remembering how its essence once pulled you from Gout's fiery grip. Now it grows in abundance, enough to share with every aching joint in your domain. The harvest season finds you working alongside tenants more than ever before. At first, they stiffened when you took up a sickle to help bind sheaves. Now they pass you the ale jug without hesitation, their laughter loosened by familiarity. Even young Martin joins the reapers, his simple joy in the rhythmic work infectious. Eleanor has transformed the manor's routines as well. The stillroom hums with activity as she and the maids preserve not just fruits for winter, but medicines, cherry syrups for gout, willow bark tinctures for pain, lavender sacks to ward off moths and melancholy alike. The surplus fills baskets that go out with the bailiff on his rounds, a quiet revolution in noble-tenant relations. Your reformed ways have not gone unnoticed beyond your lands. When the king's tax collector arrives, he brings startling news. His Majesty has reduced the wool tax for counties adopting your quality-based system, the man announces, unrolling a parchment bearing the royal seal. He calls it the Thornbrook Compromise. You stare at the document, dumbfounded. That private letter to Sir Geoffrey has become policy, its ripples spreading farther than you ever imagined. The tax collector leans closer, his breath smelling of onions. They say the king walks daily in his gardens now, just as you advised. Even the queen has taken to drinking cherry tonics. Courtiers arriving for Michaelmas feast bring more gossip. The fashion for excessive consumption is waning among forward-thinking nobles. Some even emulate your simpler meals, though they still compete bitterly over who can serve the most exquisitely prepared modest dishes. Lady Havering serves her watered wine in crystal goblets from Venice now, titters one powdered matron. So delicate they're nearly invisible. She calls it refined austerity. You exchange amused glances with Eleanor. Let them cloak reform and pretension if it eases their pride. The results matter more than motives. The feast itself is a quiet triumph. Where last year's guests eyed your innovations with suspicion, now they pepper Master Gilbert with earnest questions. Lord Devereux, his once gnarled hands markedly improved, even requests cuttings from your herb garden. You've made moderation fashionable, Eleanor murmurs as you watch Devereux carefully note down which plants thrive in shade. You squeeze her hand. Not I. The gout did. Pain is a persuasive teacher. As the season turns, a different kind of harvest begins. Villagers arrive with offerings, not the traditional eggs or grain rents, but medicines of their own making. A shepherd brings a salve of lanolin and comfort that eases your lingering joint stiffness better than any costly unguent. The miller's wife presents a honey infused with thyme, perfect for winter coughs. Even the Reeve's taciturn son leaves a bundle of yarrow at your gate, wrapped in leaves like some ancient druid's gift. Master Gilbert, once so dismissive of folk remedies, now studies these offerings with academic interest. His manuscript on the treatment of noble and common ailments grows daily, blending Galenic theory with peasant wisdom. On All Hallows' Eve, as bonfires light the autumn dark, you walk among your people freely. No longer the distant lord in his manor, but not quite one of them either. Something new, something still being forged. Young Martin presses a hot roasted chestnut into your hand, his smile bright in the firelight. Later, you stand with Eleanor at your chamber window, watching the embers glow below. Your hands, once stiff with aristocratic affliction, now move easily as you braid a lock of her hair around your fingers. The king's physician wrote again. You tell her. He asks if we might send seeds from our autumn crocus next spring. Eleanor laughs softly. From your bedchamber to the royal gardens. Not the legacy you envisioned, is it? You watch the last flames dance, thinking of all that's grown from that first painful seed of gout. Better, you decide. More useful. Outside, the first frost begins etching its delicate patterns on the land. But in your heart, something remains unshakably warm. Winter returns, but the cold carries a different bite this year. As you walk the manor's frost-rimed halls, your breath no longer fogs the air. The new brick chimneys Eleanor designed draw smoke so efficiently that warmth now lingers in every chamber. Below in the village, thick clay ovens modeled after your designs bake bread in peasant cottages that once knew only hearth cakes. The first snow finds you hosting an unprecedented gathering. Master Gilbert, the village wisewoman Agnes, and Brother Alcuin from the abbey hunched over your writing table, comparing herbals in Latin, English, and Arabic. Young Martin serves the ale, his face solemn with importance. See here, Brother Alcuin exclaims, tracing a line in his illuminated manuscript. The Persian physician Avicenna recommends willow bark for inflammation, just as Agnes does. Master Gilbert strokes his beard, eyeing Agnes's basket of remedies with new respect. Perhaps the humoral theory could benefit from local adaptations. This fragile alliance between learned medicine and folk wisdom would have been unthinkable before your illness. Now, as snow drifts against the manor walls, knowledge flows as freely as the mulled wine Eleanor serves. Midwinter brings startling news. A royal messenger arrives, his cloak crusted with ice. His Majesty commands Lord Thornbrook to Westminster, he announces, presenting a scroll bearing the king's personal seal. Eleanor's eyes widen as you read the missive aloud. The king wishes you to join his new council of health, advising on treatments for noble ailments. More shocking still, your tenant's improved conditions have been noted as worthy of royal attention. They call it the Thornbrook method at court. The messenger adds helpfully. Moderation in all things, even governance. You stare into the fire, remembering your first agonized gout attack in this very room. Who could have predicted that pain would lead here? The night before your departure, the villagers come. They bring no petitions or complaints, only gifts. A wool cloak lined with fox fur from the shepherds. A walking staff carved with medicinal herbs from the Reeve's son. Agnes presses a tiny ivory box into your hands. Inside lies a dried autumn crocus petal nestled in raw honey. For the king's first attack, she whispers. At dawn, as you mount your horse, young Martin darts forward with one final offering, a perfect cherry pit polished smooth as gemstone. To plant at palace, he says earnestly. You tuck it into your pouch like a royal writ. The road to London stretches white before you. Behind, Eleanor stands framed in the manor doorway, already directing servants to expand the herb garden in your absence. The winter sun glints off the new glass windows installed in the village church last week, your final gift before journeying to court. Your breath steams in the cold air, but your joints remain supple. The disease of kings no longer rules you. Instead, it has become the unlikely key to understanding something greater, that true nobility lies not in isolation, but in connection, not in empty display, but in quiet usefulness. As hooves crunch on frozen earth, you realize this. The worst thing about being rich in medieval times was never the gout itself. It was the illusion that privilege meant separation from the shared human condition. The best thing? Discovering that not even castle walls can keep out certain truths, that all bodies ache, all hearts yearn, and real healing often comes from unexpected places. Snow begins to fall, softening the road ahead. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a king awaits his autumn crocus remedy. And you, once crippled by excess, now ride forward as an unlikely herald of change, bearing gifts far more revolutionary than any of you yet realize.